Coming up on this episode of Earth, we traveled to Casa Grande, Arizona to visit a 21st century junkyard that is now the world's largest recycler of vehicles at the end of their life. We take you to the cotton fields of Louisiana to see how sustainable farming methods are helping to save water, soil, and energy for an entire industry. We explore how a well-known U.S. company is making the household appliances we depend on more green, and how meat packaging is able to keep our food fresh longer to prevent waste, thanks to the research of one company. But first, we travel to Germany to see how one of the largest corporations in the world is keeping sustainability all in the family. That's all coming up on Earth.
Hi, I'm John Holden.
And I'm Andrea Ocampo. Welcome to Earth.
Today's big industries deal with a growing world population and shrinking resources that are becoming more scarce because of climate change. But companies serious about decarbonization are leading the way in creating a global circular economy. That includes a huge corporation here in tiny Künzelsau, Germany, called the Wurth Group, run by, you guessed it, the Wurth family, long dedicated to preserving the environment in all of its global far-flung operations.
We want to serve all the craftsmen in the world with the best products available for them. That's our corporate mission. And on the other hand, the company has been having a very sustainable growth over the last 7.5 decades. Actually, the company grew from 2 individuals to 82,000 people as of now. And we believe that this is quite a sustainable development.
The Wurth Group now runs over 400 companies in more than 80 countries with its 82,000 employees. Wurth line companies handle the core business, distributing fasteners, tool accessories, and chemical products that serve trade, automotive, woodworking, and construction sectors. The Wurth Group's allied companies operate as intercompany and production businesses as well as financial service providers. In all of these enterprises, Wurth is committed to meet the 1.5 degrees Celsius Paris target by realizing a circular economy throughout its operations. So you've just celebrated 75 years, 100 years coming up. What's your environmental goals for the future?
Well, I think it's all about reducing our carbon footprint massively. That's what we try to do. Why are we trying to do that? Because we want to give this earth to our children's children in a probably better shape than it is today.
Now, cultural heritage has always been Wurth's lifeblood. The business was founded by Adolf Wurth in 1945. Professor Reinhold Wurth took over the business at age 19 and turned a two-man business into a global enterprise. Now in his late 80s, he's still involved with day-to-day operations. Today, the Wurth family dedicates itself to caring for a larger world community, committed to decarbonization and a sustainable circular economy on a company-wide scale.
So sustainability is based on 3 pillars. We believe that we do quite a good job in the social aspect as well as in the economical aspect. And our aspiration is to be as good in the 3rd pillar, the ecological one.
Wurth is currently building an innovation center in Künzelsau that will explore sustainability even during manufacturing. Think of the entire product life cycle, and especially recycling after the use phase, in order to facilitate a functional circular economy, from product manufacturing to the electric cars we drive to work.
We want to become climate neutral, and for this, one of our projects is to change the way we drive, or the mobility way, in an electrical and more sustainable way. Therefore, we changed the entire fleet of over 4,000 employee cars from combustion to electrical at the German headquarters. We want to encourage everyone to see that it's worth it. Innovation develops the future, and we want to shape these together.
Now, one example of how Wurth is lowering its CO2 output is its new production facility. In fact, here, Wurth has constructed an entire industrial complex made of wood instead of steel and reinforced concrete. So, Karina, why wood instead of steel?
First of all, wood is more sustainable than steel, and it's a renewable resource, and it's circular too, most important for us. And on the other side, it's the worldwide biggest bleached wood roof structure in the world.
And this is a very sustainable approach because building with wood instead of steel and concrete is a much more sustainable way. Actually, we're able to bind 11 times more CO2 doing this compared to steel and concrete.
We view the challenges that lie ahead as opportunities. So the future of the Wurth Group will be more circular because we've decided to change our perspective to this new and climate-friendly business principle without waste, the circular economy.
Another sustainable manufacturing initiative is here at Wurth Industries North America's Additive Group operations in Indianapolis, Indiana. The company's innovative 3D printing products and services allow manufacturers worldwide to streamline supply chains with digital inventory, reduce product development times, and make operations more sustainable.
3D printing is one of the disruptive technologies of the 21st century. Additive manufacturing, as opposed to subtractive manufacturing, adds layers to a part, one after the other, until that part is complete, to cut down waste, to cut cost, and most importantly also to cut risk from their supply chain.
In this case, Wurth is also looking to repurpose waste and make it printable, making old materials into new parts to enhance sustainability. And yes, sometimes even promote sustainability for an environmental television show. Hot off the press. I love it. We also mentioned that Wurth produces all kinds of consumer products, including one great example from Wurth Linecraft, made in the USA, that's very timely. Lemon Organics medical grade hand sanitizer.
So in the age of COVID, for us, it was extremely important, of course, that the product is highly effective. We kill 99.9999% of many illness-causing germs. So the Wurth Group and Lemon Organics share the same environmental and sustainability goals. And our goal is to keep the people and the planet healthy.
At the end of the day, the Earth doesn't need us. We as humans need the Earth. So it's our obligation to do everything possible to conserve the Earth, what we have today.
And you know, we couldn't leave this amazing place without showing you just a little bit of Professor Wurth's most prized personal project, his art collections. As with their approach to sustainability, this enterprising family doesn't do anything in a small way. Our next story takes us here to the Mississippi Delta and the cotton fields of Louisiana. You know, I love cotton. Or what all my jeans and tees are made of, a classic choice and a sustainable choice. You know, the longer you wear clothes, the less you have to buy new clothes, right? But one thing about making fabric from a natural product like cotton is it can negatively affect the environment unless it's grown sustainably, like it is here in Louisiana, as you're about to see. The U.S. cotton industry produces more than $21 billion worth of products every year from about 20 million bales of cotton. One bale can be used to make 200 pairs of jeans or 1,200 t-shirts, and a lot of that cotton comes from the Mississippi Delta region. Why is this area so important to cotton?
Well, and cotton is such a key part of the rural economy here, and when we look at the Mississippi Delta, it counts for about 25% of U.S. cotton production. Good soil for cotton production, good climate for cotton production, it really does continue to be an economic engine for these rural economies.
But unless done sustainably, growing cotton can cause serious environmental impacts from such things as water consumption, fertilizer pollution, and soil depletion. However, today's cotton farmers are seeking continuous advancements in terms of the environmental footprint of cotton.
Because cotton needs very warm weather to grow, places like this near St. Joseph, Louisiana are ideal for growing it. This field belongs to Kellen Lee, and this particular 600-acre farm of his is actually comprised of an island of cotton.
All the watershed from this farm goes into this surface water, into this lake, and that's also where our community gets our drinking water from. So it's very important for us to be sure we're keeping our soil in our field with cover crop use, minimum tillage.
Sustainability and transparency in the cotton industry are particularly key for clothing brands that use cotton cloth in their signature fashions, like GILDAN.
Sustainability is very important to us. It's been knit into our fabric all the way from the fiber we buy to the finished product. So it makes most sense, since the majority of our fiber we purchase is U.S. cotton, for us to be able to track and report and explain to everyone what we already know about how sustainable the U.S. growers are.
That's why today's cotton growers are constantly looking to improve their operations with new technologies and regenerative sustainable agriculture, including brothers MEAD and Marshall Hardwick of Tensaw Parish, Louisiana.
What we had to do was become more efficient and be more sustainable. And these things that are considered sustainable are things we've been doing for a long time because it's what's kept us in the game. It's helped us make a profit to continue on.
We're precision agriculture to the T, I guess you could say. We try to ingrain that into every aspect of what we're doing, whether it's applying herbicides, insecticides, seed, fertility. We soil sample 1/3 of our acres every single year. And the idea there is to, let's understand what's in the soil. Let's only put back in there what we think is needed for the next year. We do that every single year. Most people think sustainability means spending more money, but if we use less and we can get the same output or more, that is sustainable. That's sustainable for me in a business, and that's sustainable for the environment.
You know, cotton farming is hard work. Farmers are at the mercy of droughts, floods, hurricanes that can wipe out a crop right after it's planted or even right before harvest even hits. But you know, you're going to find that cotton farmers are passionate. Farmers like MEAD and Marshall, because they care about sustainability in their crops, and I think the earth does too.
Next up, field correspondent Andrea Ocampo is in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Many of us turn on the stove or pop laundry in the washing machine without really thinking about the energy or water it uses. No doubt household appliances save us time and money, but we want them to be as effective as possible while also being as sustainable and efficient as possible. Work is underway right here in North Carolina to reduce the impact of appliances on the environment and shape living for the better. Let's take a closer look. As a society, we are increasingly becoming aware of the impact our everyday decisions and habits have on the environment. While 20 years ago, consumers might have not considered the long-term environmental impact of their purchases, today the situation has changed. We increasingly evaluate the sustainability of the products we use and consciously choose the eco-friendly options.
So when we think about appliances, there's many factors that contribute to the impact. It's the production of the appliances, the composition of the appliances themselves, the use, and then the end-of-life disposal. Appliances last anywhere from 8 to 12 years in the home, so you think about all the impact that you're using every time you use and draw on energy and water in the home. Multiplied by 8 to 12 years is a considerable demand, and that really drives the most impact.
Beyond just the energy and the water that we use, we're a bigger part of other things that consumers do. When we make food last longer, it tastes better and more nutritious, it saves the consumer money, and it's good for the environment. When we make your clothes last twice as long, we think that's good for the environment and just continues shaping living for the better.
As consumers, we have a shared responsibility to pick products that help us waste less food, cut down on the power we use and water we consume. As one of the world's leading global home appliance manufacturers, Electrolux places the consumer at the heart of everything they do.
We know that sustainability is becoming more and more important to consumers. Worldwide, over 2/3 of worldwide consumers will pay more for sustainable goods. This is indicative to us in many ways, but we take signals through the automotive industry. In the automotive industry, we're seeing people move to hybrids and electric vehicles at an unprecedented rate, and it's really a signal to us that people are ready to move in this direction. Additionally, governments are demanding more from us in terms of more stringent regulations and legislations. Our goal as a manufacturer is not only to meet that, but to exceed it where we can.
We really seek to go above and beyond what's required from us. So of course with energy efficiency and water usage, but even those things that you don't really think about, like the packaging that goes into our appliances. Most people don't see the packaging because it might get installed and then thrown away and you're using the product now for 10 years. But we think about the packaging because we're selling a lot of appliances, and so we don't want to be contributing to landfills. So we really work to make more sustainable packaging. We're so proud that we were one of the first 100 companies to sign on to the Science-Based Target Initiative to reduce carbon dioxide emissions, and looking to do that in our operations by 80% and our product emissions by 25% by the year 2025, compared to where we were at in 2015. And what's so great about this is it's not just Electrolux doing it, it's all the companies coming together, because it's all of us working together that can really make an impact on global warming.
We know that ideas spark inspiration, and really what we're looking for is inspiration in the home. And so you too can make small changes in your use of the appliances to make a large impact over time.
We have better factories, we have better products, more sustainable factories, more sustainable products. And our customers and consumers are almost twice as likely than they were 5 years ago to use sustainability as a key decision factor. So let's grab that. Let's be the one who's the sustainable appliance company in North America.
Electrolux believes they will be better positioned to provide solutions that live up to the company's purpose, shape living for the better for generations to come. Until next time, I'm Andrea Ocampo.
Our next story takes us here to Grenada, Mississippi, an area known for lumbering and agriculture, and an important part of the food belt in America. But did you know that nearly half of all food produced in the world goes to waste? Well, the food preservation technology happening right here is helping to change that. Let's take a look.
The global population is expanding rapidly, expected to be 10 billion people by the year 2050, and it's going to take up to a 70% increase in food production to feed them all. Yet a major problem in America is food waste, affecting not only chronic hunger on this earth, but also our environment. The average American household wastes almost a third of the food they purchase.
It's a huge problem. That adds up to about 1.5 billion pounds of food that's wasted every year. Anything we can do to try and prevent that food waste is going to be a step in the right direction. We have certain innovative food packaging technologies that can try to extend shelf life. Any types of equipment, tools like that that we have at our disposal that we can try and extend that shelf life and prevent the food waste is going to be a step in the right direction.
This is why food preservation and packaging is so important in the food industry, for both the supermarket manager as well as the customer, who always wants the most healthy and fresh food available.
Food waste in our business is one of our top priorities. We're doing anything we can to ensure that our product has a long shelf life. Sustainability is one of our targets, this year, and has been in the past, but we have really made a big push forward to lessen our footprint.
One of the new technologies that's being used to preserve food and keep it fresh longer can actually be found within an absorbent food pad to wrap foods like meat, poultry, and it's innovative technology that started in a lab like this.
These food pads contain active natural ingredients to help reduce bacterial growth and extend the shelf life of packaged fresh meat and poultry by several days.
So we make a product that you probably see every day in products that you buy at the grocery store. Most consumers buy trays filled with proteins. We make the absorbent that's in the bottom of it, and we use a chemical constituent that generates CO2 gas as a byproduct. And CO2 gas, what that's doing is extending the shelf life by lowering the bacteria levels in the package. Bacteria levels reach a certain point when you have to throw the package away. So what we're doing is extending the shelf life of the product by lowering the bacteria levels. If you can lower the bacteria levels, then you can actually push the shelf life out a little bit further. The product is still fresh for the consumer for a longer period of time.
The company behind this technology is called Novipax, a leading manufacturer of absorbent products for the food industry. With an earth-friendly approach to doing business for over 60 years, Novipax has manufacturing plants here in Grenada, Mississippi, as well as across the country, dedicated to active packaging that will not only preserve food products, but also preserve our environment.
So here at Novipax, we're the market leader in food absorbent pads. Our mission is to provide innovative, high-performing products to our customers that extend food life on the shelf and thus reduce food waste. The absorbent pad is very important in extending the shelf life of the product. And we think it's very important for us to make the pads out of products that are sustainable. For instance, all of the fluff pulp that we use, and that is the main absorbent in these pads, is FSC certified. All products we bring to the market continue to move down that path to be greener and greener. Here's an example. We have developed a compostable pad called Drylock Terra, Terra for Earth. And we are the only manufacturer out there that has a compostable pad. It's a certified pad, and we're very proud of that. I think one way to look at Novipax is think of us as a company that is preserving the environment one package at a time.
It's food preservation technology in a pad that's helping stop global food waste, thanks to big scientific technology research in small-town America. Our next stop, the desert of Arizona. At last count, more than 1 billion cars are currently traveling our world's roads, more than 280 million in the US alone. But as we all know, eventually every car and truck breaks down and becomes a useless piece of metal. So where will your car or truck go to die when it reaches the end of life? Can any of it be saved? Earth traveled to Casa Grande, Arizona to find out. The auto recycling industry reclaims more than 750 million pounds of scrap each month from wrecked or abandoned vehicles. In fact, cars are the most recycled consumer product on the planet. More than 10 million are recycled in the US and Canada every year. About 95% of car materials can be repurposed, especially metals like steel, copper, and aluminum. This type of recycling replaces the need to dig for raw materials. Every ton of reused steel conserves 2,500 pounds of iron ore, 1,400 pounds of coal, and 120 pounds of limestone. That results in reduced global warming and pollution.
The importance of scrap metal as this, such as it's already been refined in a sense of it's already been ored out of the planet. All those resources have already been allocated into pulling that material out. Now you're pulling it back out of society. We're able to process it and reuse it without having to go back into the earth to grab more material.
These days, lots of companies are doing their part to help lower greenhouse gas emissions by recycling end of life. For example, that's why when someone totals a car in an accident, the insurance company will likely make sure it's disposed of properly. Even a totaled car usually still contains parts that can be sold in the vehicle repair market.
But whose job is it to take discarded cars apart and distribute all the useful stuff? Well, the world's largest auto recycler is LKQ Corporation, a global company which processes over 800,000 cars a year at one of its 170 facilities. Facilities like this one in Casa Grande, Arizona.
The mission of LKQ is very simple. We want to be the leading global distributor of vehicle parts and accessories. Now, the story started in 1998, and we had a vision to consolidate the auto salvage industry, which at the time was a very large but highly fragmented cottage industry filled with mom and pop operators. After acquiring the businesses, what we brought to the table was financial and human capital, core business processes, and a control framework that allowed us to create highly efficient, sustainable operations.
So here's how the operation works here in Casa Grande. An end-of-life car is purchased by LKQ, after which they identify all parts on each vehicle to determine whether they will use them for resale or for scrap. The car is then brought into dismantling. All fluids are removed, and the car is tagged as to what parts stay on the car or what gets pulled.
The fender, the door mirror, both front and rear doors are still salvageable. This nice packet of tags we have here is what we identify what we're going to reuse through our inventory process.
Wow, pretty thick.
It's a lot of parts. On average, we inventory about 130 to 140 parts on any given car.
The primary focus of our recycling operations is really on the recovery of parts that can be used to repair other vehicles. It may be mechanical parts like engines and transmissions, or it can be body parts like hoods, fenders, doors. Here we have a quarter panel for a car.
There's millions of cars that have end of life that come off the road every year. LKQ processes over 800,000 of those each year. Take this one car for example. It'll never see the road again, but LKQ wants to ensure that every part on it has a second chance at life.
Environmental sustainability is the foundation that LKQ is built upon. Because of our commitment to recycling 90% or more of end-of-life vehicles, millions of gallons of caustic or hazardous materials are saved from contaminating our lands and our groundwater.
They recycle everything. They reuse their oil, they reuse their gasoline. There isn't a drop of liquid in those vehicles when they left. The yard's pristine. It's a great operation, and so we're super happy to have them here. Glad that we're one of 1,500 locations, and glad that they picked Casa Grande.
And now you know what can happen when you finally say goodbye to your favorite old car. It's going to a better place, or at least parts of it are. I'm John Holden. Thanks for watching.